So this is a perfectly fine UV map. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You could stop here, use the snapshot button to export this to Photoshop, and complete all of your work this way. But there might be some issues with this map. Like, there's this big seam that runs across the duck's head and its tummy. Maybe I don't want that seam. Maybe I want to get rid of that. If I turn the distortion grid back on, you'll also see that there's a lot of distortion in the feet and in the tip of the beak. Maybe these are areas that need to be considered. UV mapping is like an infinite jigsaw puzzle, where there are almost no wrong answers, so long as you remember that what you're trying to do is both hide your border edges and minimize distortion. So here are a few different solutions for you. With one, I can take one of these edges where the beak connects to the head. That one looks like it's going to be easy. And let me take that and use my cut button to cut it into pieces. So now I've got this shell here and this shell here, and then I've got my two body shells. I know that the front of the bird is visible in my final render, so maybe I want to click on this edge on top of the head, shift double click on this edge here, and it looks like that's taking me the long way around. So maybe I will go a little bit slower and do this in pieces. And I'm just clicking and then shift double clicking until I get about as far as I want to go. Maybe just to there. Now I can take these and I can run stitch together again, and that's going to give me this UV shell and this UV shell. This one is the beak, this one is the body and the feet. Now they're both twisting. They've got some edges that are folding back behind the borders. So in both cases I will take them and I will run unfold, and that's going to give me an unfolded map. I need to make sure that these fit back in the 0 to 1 space, so I'll run layout again, and then maybe just grab this and move it a little bit. This one might need to be scaled. I could try rotating to see if I could fit it in this space better. Oh, maybe I can scale that up. That looks pretty nice. And this is another perfectly good, perfectly finished UV map. In this case, you'll see that I've gotten rid of that edge along the front of the bird. Now the beak is a separate piece and the tip of the beak looks a lot less distorted. Good to go. If I did want to go further with the feet, I could. Maybe the problem is that the top and bottom of the foot are still connected. Maybe I need to remove the bottom of the foot from the rest of the foot. So I can double click this edge here, and I will do the same thing on the other side. It's kind of annoying to have that other ducky turned on. Maybe I'll turn that other ducky off. Alright, let's see what happens if I cut these. Now I've got these two shells for the bottom of the feet and this shell for the rest of the foot. So again, I'll take all four of them and unfold. And now my feet look a lot straighter and have a lot less distortion. Sure, there's going to be a border edge that runs all the way around the bottom of the feet, but I can deal with that. Again, I'll grab everything and I will try laying out. The bottom of the feet look like a really good place for me to stack and orient because, honestly, they can have symmetric textures. Nobody's ever going to care about that. I'll try to get them lined up. Try that again. Oh, perfect. So this represents the bottom of both of the feet. I'll stick that over there. This is the beak, And here's the body, and again I will just rotate and scale until I think I've got this well aligned within the 0 to 1 space. That looks pretty good, and now I can take these. I am shift selecting so I can grab both of them. And this is also a perfectly good UV map. So right there, that is 3 separate maps, all of which are perfectly acceptable answers, and all of which are different from the initial map we made, and all of which are different from the sitting ducky UV shell. On the sitting ducky UV shell, just for the record, I decided to cut the legs off so that I could minimize some of the distortion between the body and the leg. And then I decided to cut the feet off to minimize some of the distortion around the ankle. On the standing ducky, because the legs are more visible, I think that that would be a bad idea. But at this point, with the tools you have, cut, stitch together, unfold, and lay out, I think that you can probably come up with a pretty good UV map, all of your very own. When you're done UV mapping, I'd like you to try using the UV snapshot button here. Make a UV snapshot. Let's see what you can do to make a texture map for the standing duck. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I won't make a new video about it. But when you see me again, I will have both of my duckies textured.